button for this meet session. I already informed Dr. Chris. He's checking it with the IT department. Hopefully, the problem will be sorted out soon now. Okay, but definitely no, I cannot do recording for this session. Yeah, so please be informed. Okay. So for this week lecture, we will be looking at chapter 2, user analysis and task analysis. So basically this is part of your proposal. Okay, so your we'll be discussing on your proposal tomorrow. So for today's discussion for our chapter 2, we will discuss in detail on how you do the user analysis and also the task analysis. Okay, so we have 53 slides in total. So I think we can start now. Is everybody ready? Is it okay?
Yeah, ready.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, so once again, I inform no recording. Okay, so you need to listen carefully, and if you have question, you can ask. All right, so this is BAIT 2203, Human Computer Interaction, Chapter 2, User Analysis and Task Analysis. Right, so let's look at what is user analysis. Okay. So user analysis, what is user analysis? So in order for us to design an effective system, and especially for your prototype, for your assignment, it is necessary for you to know or to answer all these three questions here. Okay, so who are the users? Okay, and then what are the tasks that is done by the user? And what is the environment, okay, environment in which the system will operate. So Para is what already car parking kan, parking system. So you say it's I believe it's shopping mall, right? So your environment should be in shopping mall. Okay, but for your analysis, you will determine who is the user. All right, and then what are the tasks that need to be done by the user in order for them to use your system. All right, and then where do the user use your system? Okay, well, what is the environment? Okay, so this one is referring to this HCI model. So for today we will discuss on users and tasks, which is under analysis phase. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So let's take an example on, sorry, example on this environment, or on this task. Okay, so the task is reading news on apps. Okay, so let's imagine the task that need to be done is news reading news article or any updates on apps that is installed in a mobile device. So let's discuss about how a user, let's imagine user A is elderly, and then we have B, teenager. All right, so we need to understand the background, or we need to understand the needs of this user. Okay, so let's go for elderly first. So elderly, usually they don't really know, or they are not really into reading news on an apps. Okay, because they don't have much exposure to mobile devices, or maybe it's too small for them, right? But for teenager, um, the teenager should have no problem. Okay, so you need to really focus on, for your assignment, who is the user. Okay, who is the exact user of your system. So you will pick one person. Okay, we'll discuss more later on how you will explain about the user for your system. Okay, so let's take an example of the environment where this task is happening, right? So let's say the teenager is reading the news on apps inside or inside MRT or LRT. All right. So the app, okay, the app that you design, it should be able to help the user, in this case the elderly or the teenager, so that they can read the news like easily or inside a MRT or LRT. So you need to make sure like you can hold your device using one hand. You can handle the news. You can navigate on the app using one hand, because the other hand will be like holding on anything on the MRT, so that you will be stable, right? And let's also talk about if it's daytime or nighttime. Okay, so if it's daytime, maybe you need to like make your what do you call it, the brightness, okay, the brightness of your app, or maybe the color chosen for your button, for your navigation. So all those you need to take into consideration. So if it's nighttime, if it's happening nighttime, like this task is happening on nighttime, maybe you want to also consider on turning on the dark mode. Okay, you might want to put in the feature of dark mode in your app. Okay, so this is an example of how you want to determine the user of your system. You need to like imagine what is the task and what is the environment that they will undergo when they are using your system. Okay, so further into user type. So this one, maybe you are familiar with these user types already. So we have novice users. So novice users, usually teenagers call it like noob users. Okay, that's the internet word for it, like novice users. So these are users who attempt to use the system for the first time, like they never use it before. Okay, so they are unfamiliar. Okay, but they may well understand the goals that need to be accomplished, right? So let's take an example of maybe a new lecturer who wants to upload notes in Google Classroom, right? So they may for Google Classroom, maybe it's easy to navigate, so they will like don't have will not have any trouble to upload the questions or upload the notes in Google Classroom. Okay, if it's novice. It's like what Farah mentioned in our previous tutorial. Okay, you give an example of Google Classroom, right? So for student, like it's easy to use. So it can be easy to use for lecturer as well, or on how to upload notes. Me myself also, when I first time using Google Classroom, it's not that hard. Maybe because I'm from IT background, maybe for the so that's why you need to understand your user. Do they have any IT background? Do they ever have experience using similar apps previously? So those are the things that you need to consider as well. Okay, another example would be a person who attempts to buy a train ticket online for the first time. Okay, so maybe let's say this user tried to buy a train ticket online. Maybe it only accept credit card, so you need to have credit card, right? So this person, if uh, a credit card is required for this train ticket online system, so this person must be working, right? So it's odd for students to have. It's not odd, but not all the time students will have credit card, right? So we will imagine that the user that want to try to buy this train ticket online, because it only provide you with credit card payment, so we can assume that this person must be a working person. Okay, so this one is like for you to know the background of the user. So this one is novice user. Okay, and then we have the next one, knowledgeable intermittent users. So this one is referring to irregular users of many systems. So you have a stable knowledge of the task. Like for example, like let's take an example of our database subject, right? So now you are in advanced database management. Previously, you took you took the same like similar course, but maybe introduction. So you have the knowledge of this database, but you it's not like every semester you learn about database. So that one we can consider as irregular user, means you are not exposed to that particular topic, or you are not exposed to that to the system every semester. Okay, so so maybe because of that, because of intermittent user, you will have difficulty in remembering the details of what you have learned previously, right? So in this case is for this course is referring to the system operation. Okay, so let's say for example, like you want to register for a new semester, right? So you will register online. Okay, you will register online, but you will not register like every week, right? You're not registering for a new course every week. So you might in the future, like after one semester, the next semester you want to register again, you forgot already how to do it. Okay, so that one also can happen. So you are actually categorized under this knowledgeable intermittent users. Okay, so another example given here is filling up the income tax. Okay, so if you like have any experience, like maybe your parents filling up the income tax, they might have issues every time they want uh, to fill up, because it is only done once a year, so you can forget what you need to do for the e-filing. Okay, so now we have the expert or frequent users. So we have TAUC app, right? I think you have for students. So you use it like very frequently. You can be considered that as expert users because you are very familiar with it, with the student app, and you are well versed in the terminologies and syntax. Also, this one is actually referring to the programming. So back to the example just now, your student app, so you know how to navigate, you know where to check your attendance, you know where to check your marks and so on. So you are under this expert or frequent user. So for your assignment, you also can categorize your user. You can categorize them as maybe novice. You can categorize on that. So your user that you pick is novice user, so you must create, or you must develop the suitable prototype for them. You must implement the suitable app or the suitable interface for them, right? So if you use like maybe you decided to have this unlegible user or expert user, so you need to fit in their knowledge on your interface. Okay, and then we have, okay, so this is just to show you the some of the example for novice user. Hold on, give me a sec. I'm getting call. Give me a sec, yeah. Okay, sorry for the delay. So let's look at how can we design our system for novice user. So let's like imagine we are designing for novice user. So usually for novice user, the all initiatives should come from the computer. That means everything, like everything must be provided by the computer so that the novice user know how to use your system. So you as the designer of the system, you should consider the novice user to be like a shy visitor who needs prompting, like they need to be prompt on what they need to do. So if, let's say for example, the user need to fill up all this information, so let's say date, so you need to give like example on how they should fill it up. All right, so you give the format so that they know how to fill up the field that you need them to fill up. Okay, so your name, so how should you write your name? You give your last name, your first name, your middle name, and also telephone number. You tell them what is the area code, what is the phone number. Okay, so you can also give example. Usually computer system or any system or any app, um, you they usually give an example on how it is done, like use dd date month year, so how it look like, example how it look like. So you will actually show this on your interface so that the user, especially this novice user, know what to fill up in your app. Okay, so the system should be designed to tell them what to do, and they simply can just respond to the instruction. Okay, then let's look at the next one still, and novice user. So each required input should be brief, like very straightforward. So the designer, you as the designer, you cannot assume that novice user are proficient keyboard operators, right? So like just now our example is like elderly, right? So they don't really like using touch screen. Okay, they want to have the feel like the zit zit, and also like the tak 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 tak, like that can. So it depends to your user. So if they fall under this, if you happen to choose novice user as your audience for your system, for your assignment, so you need to take all this into consideration. And then the number three, there should be no special training on how the user can use your system. So all the info that is needed to operate the system is already provided by the system on the interface. So any user using your system should have no issue, and the system should make it clear on what has to be done in order for them to use your system. So the messages on your app should be clear and also unambiguous. So next is still under novice user. So number five, user decision should be made from a small set of options. So let's take this for example, like um, this one is in Word, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is find and replace function in Word. So let's say the user want to find one what do you call it, one word, you want to replace it with what word. Okay, so let's say you are the novice user, so there should be sufficient feedback help, like you don't know what is this find what is this replace what, so you can look at more here. Okay, more means you provide more information on this particular interface. When you click on more, you will see many more options that you can do, that you can pick, many options that you can pick to do this find and replace function. Okay, so novice users, they need to make choices from small number of options. Yes, so here they have a few number of options for them to decide on what to do next in the system. Okay, in this case is find and replace function. And then next is the design for knowledgeable intermittent users. So the keyword here, the key point for this intermittent user is the system should be consistent. So let's say, like just now, I give you an example of you registering to your course every semester. So let's say the interface, like last semester, what's the story? November kan, start in November 2021. You register, you still familiar with the interface. So let's say the software was updated, the app was updated, and the interface changed. The button all also changed. The placement of the button changed. So it will actually give like um, trouble or issues to this type of user because um, you have done it before but suddenly you don't know how to do it anymore because of the changes. So that's why this kind of the system that you want to implement for this user, it should be consistent. But usually it's not wrong for you to have updates for your system, but of course usually if you have any update you will let the user know what has been updated. And they should like usually like for like major update on interface, usually like previously I think iOS did major changes in their interface, so they give like a tour before you go into your system. Like they say, they told you where is the home button and so on. Okay, so usually if you had made major changes in your interface, you should have like tour before you start using the new interface. Okay, and then system it should provide good help facilities and also good documentation so that this user can refer to it every time they have issue using the system. So now let's look at expert user. So expert user, usually you want to design the system to be like very brief, okay, providing brief feedback. And then common sequence should be offered in abbreviated and meaningful form, like copy command. You can use CP. Okay. So usually this one, the expert users should be able to recognize any abbreviated command, right? And then keyboard shortcut as well should be provided because usually expert user, like all of you gamers can, I believe all of you are expert already. Um, so you have all these keyboard shortcut, like you don't want to waste your time like um, clicking here and there, typing here and there. You just want to use shortcut. Okay, so usually we take this into consideration when we are designing for expert user. Okay, so those are example of how should we design system for the types of user that we have. Next, we have these requirements. How do we understand users? Okay, so let's look at these two type of requirements. We have the first one is functional requirement, and then we have non-functional requirement. So we have what the system should do for functional requirements. Okay, functional requirement is what the system should do. So non-functional requirements is referring to our usability goals, our response time, etc. So this describe how the system works. Okay, how the system work. While these functional requirements, it describe what the system should do. Okay, so this a non-functional requirement is telling how the system will work. Like there's no choice. So functional requirement it's describing what the system should do. So they should be like, for example, here saving historical data. So means you have the ability to save data or historical data if you're using if the user is using this functional requirement. So let's look at the next slide. So how do we understand users? How to understand our user? Okay. So first, of course, you need to gather data for requirements. Like you want to have data for your user requirements. So you want this is one of the way. Okay, so we have several ways we discuss. So the first one is this is the very basic one, interview. So you interview your user, which is your the user of your product. Okay, so they are the people who personally utilizing the product to accomplish your goal, to accomplish the goal. So usually you do interview for both current and potential users. Okay, so let's say you have a current, like, previous version of your system, you will interview them, and then you also interview those who will be using the system later on. Hujan, can hear the rain kah?
No.
Oh, okay. Like, so interview is very straightforward. You just gathering information on how they feel when they're using the system, right? And how the user behave and how they think about the things that they encounter when they are using the system. So I basically just you like, or you want to know what is their experience when they are using the system. Okay, so it's similar to like getting review from your, let's say you created an app and then you posted it on Android, on Play Store, or maybe at another store, and then you're getting reviews. So from the review, actually, those are the information that you need to to maintain your system. Okay, so that's also a way for you to get information for your user. So information we are interested in learning from user, usually uh, this all this. So we want to know the context. Okay, first thing is the context of how the product uh, will be used. Okay, how the product will be used that will fit into their lives or workflow. Okay, so it can be a knowledge system if there's no current product exists. So let's say if you are designing like Noel, maka sudah Noel kota library kan Noel. So library kan. So if it's library system, let's say you already have existing system, right? So you can discuss this in your assignment during your analysis. You can discuss on what are your user, what are the problem, what are the issues that you encounter when the previous system was used by the user. Okay, so your goal, what new Hujan? Your goal is to like to tackle the problem. You want to solve the problem, right? So you need to know how the student, like how the student, what time the student goes to the library, and how, how the how the workflow of the system like affect the students' activity in the library and so on. Okay, and then knowledge, okay, domain knowledge from a user perspective. So what do user need to know to do the job? So you need to know what is the knowledge of your user, right? So do they know how to use a mobile phone, for example? Do they know how to download the apps? Do they know how to operate a machine? Your like maybe packing machine that you are creating. Okay, so that's an example. And then goals and motivation for using the product, like what are the goals and what are the motivation for you to use the product. So this usually refers back to the context whereby you discuss on the problem. If you have any current or existing system, you can refer back to it, and then you can create a goal and a motivation for the user to use the product. And also looking at the mental model. So this is where you analyze how users will think about their jobs, their activities, as well as what expectation users have about the product. Okay, so let's say, for example, like um, ticketing system kan, movie cinema, Kelvin kan, you you are creating a system for cinema. So you need to think of how when will the user use the product, like after work, right? So you will not like go watch movie during working. So that is only if your user that you pick is a worker. Okay, so if it's students, okay, if they are students, maybe you want to take into consideration on like you are focusing on the student will be using the system every weekend. Okay, every weekend. For example, so you need to be very detailed on how the user will be using your system and what are the expectation of the user when they using your product. Okay, so here also refers back to the one that I mentioned earlier, the problems and frustration with the current product. Like like I mentioned just now, you can discuss on what are the problems, what are the frustration. Like maybe the current product, like it's very simple. Maybe it doesn't like solve the problem and so on. So you discuss on that and you propose what your system can do to tackle all these problems and frustration of your user. Okay, so you can use analogous system if there is no current product exists. So for your assignment, um, your assignment is actually like only like just for the sake of you to create a prototype. So you can create, you can assume that you have a current product if you want. Okay, if you want to have more discussion in your report, right? So you can have a current product even though there's none, right? You can report in your proposal that you have this current product and you discuss about the problems and the frustration of your current user, and you will like propose from your system what you can do with all this. Okay, so you can like just create or any current product that is related to your system that you will be developing. Okay, so any questions so far?
So far no.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Okay, so next let's look at focus group. Okay, so the CC for this course keep telling us, the lecturers teaching the subject, you must let your student know that you need to have a focus. You need to focus on a user. Okay, so means you need to have a target market. You need to have a target user. Like for Noel library, it's student, right? Student. So like for Farah, do you have any idea what who is your focus market, focus group, like a target market? Who are the user? Who is the user of your system? Is it a worker? Is it student or is it lecturer? Is it? Do you have any idea for now, Farah, for your parking system?
Mm, I'm not sure. I think it's for the people who found the apps can freely use any any people lah. I'm not sure.
Okay, you cannot report, like that to your assignment. You need to have a specific person, specific user that will use your system. Okay, so if you like give like general user like that, can the CC asks us to reject your proposal? It's okay, it's fine, you still have time. Let's say like you cannot think of any target user, maybe you want to consider to change your title. That's also possible, depending on the discussion that we have today, and we will discuss more during practical during practical during practical tomorrow. So I think you will have more idea there. Okay, so Noel's one is library kind, so maybe also use parking system. So Noel should be no problem. Like you are focusing on Thai UC student, for example. So Kelvin, so you need to really like just pick one person. You will understand what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about later when we go to one part persona. Okay, I will explain later. Okay, so back
Okay.
to this. Okay, so back to this one, the gathering data for requirements. So you need to have your focus group. Okay, cannot like simply like say, oh, this app is for babies. This app is for students. This app for RSD student only. Okay. So you need to have your focus group. So they represent users. So usually what happen is that for if you are doing this like in real life, like real world research, okay. So for your final year project it should be real. So for this course, you are not required to do that because you will not have enough time to do that because you have other subjects as well. So the CC told us like it's okay lah, student don't have to like do the real gathering data for this course. Okay, so but you still need to understand how can we get the data for us to do analysis on who will use our system. So usually for this focus group, you like collect one group, and then you put them into rooms, and then you will like ask question regarding the system, okay, to get the feedback, or maybe you want to like do some interview, and then this one is what we call a focus group. If you have taken subject like degree baru kan, I'm not sure if you have course for research methodology. So this one you will learn more in that course if you will take it. Okay, so basically this one just for you to know like we can have a focus group and you gather them in a room as a structured set of question, and you also provide them with a structured set of choices. So basically you just want to find out like who answer this question, what answer does these people give for question one. So maybe most of them answer A, most of them answer C. So you will know what to do with your system according to their answers. Okay, next is card sorting. So it's similar to focus group as well. So this is a technique to for you to understand on how user organize information and concepts. So usually how this is done is that it is by asking the user to sort a deck of cards, each containing a piece of functionality or information that is related to the product or website. Okay, so this is used to uncover one aspect of a user's mental model. Okay, so you can also develop a website, okay, not necessarily a system like website is also a system, but maybe if you like have a change of mind, you want to change your title or what a website can also be your assignment as long as you can present all the required information that is needed for the assignment. Okay, so this is called sorting. So this is just an example on how you do analysis. Okay, so I've done this before during my studies, my master study. This is like sorting data, like analyzing data. So you give like topic, and then what are the things that the user prefer to be under those topic. Okay, so this is just an example on how you do data gathering. Another one is questionnaire. So if this course is a real research subject, you will usually student prefer to do this questionnaire. Okay, because this questionnaire it gives you feedback from the point of view of the user, and you can like give the questionnaire online. You can get the feedback like on the spot, and you can use it if you're using Google form. You can like do summary. You can see the charts and so on. So it will helps you to get a feedback that is trustworthy, and and also you get it from your whole user population. Okay, but the disadvantage of this questionnaire is that you will need time and effort in setting a reliable questionnaire. So usually if you do a real research, you will need to have a reliable questionnaire. So usually you need to take others questionnaire. If you want to like create on your own, your questionnaire should be like validated that it is suitable for your system. Okay, so here the reliability is referring to the ability of the questionnaire to give same results when filled out like by like-minded people in similar circumstances. Means it must be reliable to anyone who is answering your questionnaire. So this is another way. But for this course, we don't have to do this lah. Yeah. These are example Likert nih, one Likert, Likert. Likert scale is when you have 1 to 5. You have strongly disagree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Okay, you can also have yes, no for your questionnaire as well. Okay, but usually Likert scale is the most popular one used for questionnaire. Okay, you can also do observation. You can also do observation. So most people are incapable of accurately assessing their own behaviors, especially when they're removed from the context of their activities. So this observation, it will involve an investigator which view users as they work in a field study and taking notes on the activity that takes place. Okay, so it can be direct or indirect. So for this observation, the investigator, that is you, is actually present during the task. Like if the student, if your system is about a library system, so you want to observe on how they use the system in the library. So you are there, you observe, you look at the face, you look at their face, and when they access your system, and do they like give like, are they frustrated? Are they happy using the system, and is it fast, and so on. Yes, it can also be indirect, which can also be through use of video recorder. So this one usually for focus group. Like your focus group is like when you do research, you want to do research on like primary one students. Okay, so you want to research about how the e-learning TV in the classroom can help the students to focus on their study. For example, like all the primary classes right now, and they all have this one TV in the class. So maybe let's say, for example, that you want to check if you want to gather information if that e-learning computer is helping the students in the class. So you can do this video recording, like you have a CCTV, for example. Yeah, so you can check again and see how the students behave. Do they like really sit down and look at what is being presented on the e-learning board, and so on. Okay, so that is for observation. So it can also be diary, like when you observe, you will like write on your diary. So you can also use web traffic analytics. This one is for your, if you're doing website. Okay, so you can see the daily visits, traffic types. So also time on site by country. Okay. So after you have gathered your data, so what will happen next? We take 5 now.
Uh, okay, okay,
No, no, is that a no? Like skeptical one? Yeah. 5 minutes break.
okay.
Okay, itu film sudah. Okay, I'll be back in 5 minutes time. Okay, can we continue? Can we continue? Is everybody here?
Ah, yes.
Okay. Kelvin, are you here? All right. So we continue, yeah. So after the data gathering, what's next? Okay, so what will we look into after we do the data gathering? So we will look at user needs analysis. Okay, so this is where you can decide on what type of user you want to use in your assignment. Okay, so you can look at the demographic, like what's the age, what's the gender, the occupational experience, what's the job title, the years of experience, the educational level, and also experience, etc. Okay, so here we'll actually discuss on we will actually discuss on all of this. Basically, you need to like pick one persona. We call it persona. We'll discuss in detail later. So you will actually present your user analysis. You tell what's the name, what's the gender, what's the age, and what are the professional experience, and so on. So that's why you need to really understand your user background in order for you to fulfill their needs on for your system. Okay, so why we want to model the user? Okay, so why do we want to have a user? So this user, if we have a target user, it, they will help us to like represent a structure relationship for the purpose of better understanding, discussing, and visualizing them, so that we know what they need, what do they need in your system. Okay, so without this model, we we only make unstructured or raw data without the benefit of any organizing principle. So that's why for your assignment, there's one part that you need to create a persona. Okay, creating a persona is your user imagination. Okay, you want to create a user, a persona that will represent the relationship with physical world, environment, and your product. Okay, so this is an example of a persona. Okay, so this one you need to present in your proposal. So you want to have, like I mentioned earlier on, you need to have this one target user. So this is basically your an example of your target user. Okay, so let's look at this. So this is the person. The age is 26. She's a record store manager, and then status is single, New York, enthusiast, and ambitious, admired, focused, and the motto, like quote here, what is her motivation, incentive, fear, achievement, and so on. Goal is to grow a strong industry reputation, to build an audio portfolio, to keep track of everything. So the frustration of this user is she's having a slow download times, data crash, poor communication. So we can assume that she's using some app that is related to audio. Okay, so let's look at the bio here. So Toby has a day job at record store. Okay, so that's why she has these frustrations. But on the side, she does all kind of production work, like up and coming artist. She never hesitates to learn something new, and often acts as tech support for her friends and clients. So means she's tech savvy, right? And um, she usually working on dozens of projects at a time and trying to establish herself in the industry. So she will have data crashes or anything that makes her look bad in her career. Yeah, so because she works alone and in her home, collaboration is everything, means she's online all the time. Okay, so this is an example of a persona. You can go to this website to actually create a persona for your assignment, and you can present it like this in your proposal paper. Okay, so you can add on the personality, you can add on technology as well. So there are a lot of websites that can provide you with this uh, fact fact persona, like free persona template. So you can try to find any persona that will relate to your assignment, to your title. Okay, so maybe like for Calvin, yours is movie customer. Okay, so you can try to go to this persona template, try to find movie related persona. Okay, so you might have some you might have some ideas there. Okay, so for this course, you need to do some research in order for you to know what you need to report in your writing, in your report writing. Okay, so let's go back to this persona. So what is persona? So this is a user models that are represented as specific individual human beings. Okay, so they are not actual people, okay, but they are synthesized directly from observations of real people. As if you notice this one, if you don't know this is a fact person, you will definitely you believe this is a person in real life. Okay, but it's not real. This person is being visualized from observation of real people. Okay, so persona must be based on real world observation. So you can create your own persona, like you already like do analysis, right, for your user requirements. So you can create your own persona. You can write about them on your own, but you must be based on your observation on what you want to relate to your system development. Okay, so that can support on supplement the creation of this persona. It can be through interview, market research, market segmentation models, or data gathered from literature reviews and previous studies. But this one is definitely if you're doing a real research. Okay, but for this course, you're not doing a real research, so you can. That's why you are allowed to use any fact person, okay, fact details, fact persona that you can find in the website, or you can create your own. All right. So is that clear? This one clear? This one you need to include in your proposal, yeah. So for this
Okay.
one, okay,
Okay.
all right, okay. So next, okay. So the persona that you pick, okay, the persona that you pick, they must not be what people tell you about themselves. They are what you observe, okay? And then you should be looking at what frustrate them or what satisfy them. You should be talking about their skills, their attitude, their motivation, their environment, and goals. Okay, and you look at their behavior patterns as well. Okay, so this will be very helpful for you when you want to design for your prototype later on. You will refer back to the behavior patterns, like in the morning this person is very happy, like very fresh, so the first thing she do is grabbing the mobile phone and access your app. So those kind of thing. Okay, you don't talk about what they like or dislike. You don't talk about their job description, or it's not a documentary about a person, and it's not a job description. Okay, so this is more like characteristics. So persona are more detailed. Okay, you you provide information on what we observe, uh, how what the frustration that always happen, how the systems satisfy the persona and so on. Okay, so let's look at this example here. So if you try to design a car that pleases every possible driver, you will end up with a car with every possible feature, okay, but will not please nobody. So you create a car, but not everyone will like the car, right? So like for example here, this person here refers it a prefer it to be fast, and if he's driving this just for fun, and this person here, she wants the car to be safe and to be comfortable. All right, so these are the things that you need to focus on. That's why you need to have like 1%. Like if you want to have you want to focus on this person, just need to make sure that you are building a car that is safe and comfortable. Okay, so that's why you need to have this persona, so that you can focus on what are their preferences, so that you can build a good prototype later on. Okay, so now let's look at different types of persona. Yeah, so the first one is marketing persona. So this one is focusing on the demographic information, motivation and concern, can be shopping or buying preferences. Okay, so system like online shopping can also be a topic as well. And then marketing message, media habits. Okay, so this marketing persona, it's good for you if you want to pick this persona. They can determine what types of customer will be receptive to certain products or messages, or evaluating potential ROI of a product. Okay, ROI here is referring to return of investment. And then we have proto persona. Yeah, so proto persona is when there is no money or time to create through research. All right. So for your assignment, this is what you are doing actually. Okay, so you're creating a proto persona, which is based on assumption. So you, for this course, you will be using a proto persona. Okay, based on secondary research, means based on real world observation. And then design personas, you focus on user goals, current behavior, pain points, and if they are using like a shopping system, the buying or media preferences and also behaviors. So these are based on field research and real people. Okay, so for this course, you should be using this one, proto persona. Okay, mostly based on assumption, where you do the analysis just now. Okay, depending on what system you want to create, you will be creating this persona that who will use your system. So when you want to create a persona, you need to bring the persona to life, like adding these details. If you need to have a first and last name, the picture, the demographic, the age, location, gender, job title, etc. So it's like the one that I show you just now, the example of Miss Toby. So that is an example of bringing the persona to life. Like you give name. Okay, you can give any names, you can put any picture, right? But I will prefer you to use like the free pictures on the internet. If you use pictures from the internet, please use those that is not um, no copyright. Okay. Still under creating persona, so you need to identify the behavior variables. Okay, so things that you need to focus on are the activities. Okay, you talk about the activities, what the user does, the frequency and the volume. Like I'll go jogging, like jogging every day, how long, how many times per week, right? And then the attitudes, how user thinks about product name and technology, like how they perceive to use certain products, right? And then the motivations and goals, why user is engaged in the product domain, like maybe like for movie, right? This person, the persona that you created is movie junkie, for example. He must have like he must be the first one who watch the movie once it's released, for example. That's the motivation, that's the goal for this persona. And then skills are users capabilities related to product domain and technology. You also discuss on what are the skills, like he's very well this persona is very well versed in the app, using the app. And then like for library, you know where to go, where to get where to get new books and so on. Okay, so you need to also discuss on frustrations on what you want to improve for your system. Okay, so let's look at a persona example here. So this is temporal. So this is like this is an example of siapa nama dia, scientist Steve. Okay, so the name is scientist Steve. The themes is to evaluate, research, advise, analyze, and you can see his roles, climate change, goals is all these, and the needs and so on. Okay, another example, patient phone upgraded. Okay, so the behaviors, okay, phone perception and discovery and so on. So you also talk about um, how this person loves technology, the key characteristic, the goals. Okay, so you need to create a persona for your system who will use your system, and you relate your discussion on the persona with your system that you will be creating. Okay, macam apa?
Miss,
Yes, Noel.
is there a specific format to follow?
Oh no, as long as you present all the required information,
Okay.
you can check the website tadi itu, the creating persona. I think there's more. There are other websites that can help you to create this persona. There's no format as long as you can present the information, all required information. Okay, so we continue. All right. Mm, so after we do the user analysis, what we do next? Okay, so after you have the persona, so now when you want to design when you want to design your system, you need to refer back to your persona, right? So after persona, you will need to create stories that point to design. So you will develop a story or scenario as mean of imagining user interaction. So using those scenario, you will use those scenario to define your requirements, and you will use this requirement to turn it into the design of your product, right? So already have the persona. So now moving forward, you will imagine how the user, how your persona will interact with your system. Okay, so let's look at how scenario will be useful. Okay, so you use scenario to represent the task, so it will focus on describing on how the users will accomplish the task. So usually it consists of environmental setting and includes in this case it's persona lah. Okay, so your persona will provides a representation of the user, which will act as a believable agent in the setting of the scenario. Okay, so the scenario and content and context, it is derived from the information gathered during your early phase, your analysis, user analysis, and also during the modeling phase, right? So this scenario is an informal narrative description. So narrative description means you need to like imagine a scenario where there will be an interaction with your persona, interaction between your persona and also your system. Yeah, so this is an example of a scenario. So like for example, you pick one persona, right? So this is a persona for this scenario. The Thompson family enjoy outdoor activity holidays and want to go sailing. So while out shopping, they call at the travel agents in their local town to start exploring the possibility, blah blah blah. So the travel organizer is located in the quiet corner of the agent's office where there are comfortable seats and playthings for young children. So you basically create a scenario where you will like um, go to go to the system. Okay, so here you from here you can see this one standalone console, right? So in the office of the travel agent you can see the standalone console is designed so that all members of the family can interact easily and comfortably with it. Okay, so like for example for parking, so how do you like imagine it, like this Pharaoh go to the shopping mall and then he go buy things that he want to use for his class tomorrow. So he go to the parking space and then looking for his car, open the app, and then what do Ferris saw on the app and so on. Okay, you must be like you need to create a scenario so that you can relate how the activity of your persona relates to the use of your system. Okay, and then there's another scenario here. Mm, illegal. So this one I can try to read on your own letter. Too long. So basically, you want to create in your proposal. You also need to include this. You don't have to write like 1 to 2 pages. So like maybe just to like describe a scenario where your system will be used, right? So you have like the this one. Okay, this one can be like use movie sharing networks. So users with work machine to as it has a high bandwidth connection but feels a bit guilty. He will be getting an illegal copy of the film. So this is the behavior, right? So he knows he's doing illegal things, but he decided it's okay as he is intending to go to the cinema to watch it. Yes, update downloads to his machine. He takes out his new personal movie player. He presses the menu button. Okay, so this is already a scenario where you explain interaction between the persona and your system. Okay, the menu button, small LCD screen, right? So this is maybe the existing system. Talking about the existing system, scroll using the arrow keys. Okay, so in this scenario, you can also explain how the existing system look like. Yeah, like what is being done here. On his computer, the movie download program now has an icon showing that it has recognized a compatible device, and he drags the icons of the film over the icon for the playing. Okay, so basically this is talking about the system. I think this one is a video player, okay, app of video player. So you can also do this for your system. Okay, so you like write a scenario on how how a movie ticketing system will be used, how a parking system will be used, how a library system will be used. Okay, so you also need to write some narrative on in your proposal after your persona. Okay, so after first just now you already do the persona, so you define who the story is about, the main character, the attitude, the motivation, the goals, and the pain points, etc. And then the scenario, you explain when, where, and how the story of the persona takes place. So the scenario is the narrative. Okay, basically just like a short essay to describe how the persona behaves as a sequence of events. Okay, so you can write about uh, how what is the frustration of the persona when they're using existing system, if there's any, or we can try to think of other scenario that will actually explain all this and the scenario. Okay, so after you have this scenario, you will define, you will have a goal. Okay, you will have a goal on how to design your system. Okay, it will define what the persona wants or needs to fulfill. So the goal is the motivation of why the persona is taking action. So when the goal is reached, the scenario will end. Okay, so basically your scenario you write from here up until here. Okay, so your this one is you write after your persona in your proposal. Okay. So after scenario, what will happen? What will you write about next? Okay, so next we have environment analysis. Okay, so this is where you will describe about the usage pattern that will include environmental consideration. Okay, so it's very important for you to map out the big picture first. Okay, so that you can systematically identify user requirement. So let's look at what are the things that you need to address when you do this environment analysis. Okay, in what setting? Okay, is it indoor? Is it outdoor? Is it public? Is it private? Is it noisy? Is it quiet? So in library, it's quiet, right? So let's say, like for Noel is creating an app for library use. So it should be the app should have no sound at all, like maybe some system like parking system kan you need to pay, or maybe you need to like insert ticket, like it there will be sound coming out from your system. So you need to look at the environment. Okay, so for library usually it will be quiet, right? Also for like ticketing system, the ticketing system, it must have like, if you want to include sound, like confirmation of order, something like that, reservation for seats for this movie, for example. Okay, so you need to look into consideration of what setting will your product be used, and then will it be used for extended amounts of time? Will the persona frequently interrupted during the process? Maybe like for library, I'm not sure what function you will put in your library system. So let's say, like how the will the persona be frequently interrupted when they are using your system, right? And then are there multiple users on a single workstation or device? Okay, and what other products will it be used? Okay, so let's say there is another product that you need to like integrate to you to do this. So last week I give you an example of navigation system, right? Navigating your campus, right? So navigation, it should include map, right? So it should include map. So you also need to include it under this environment analysis. Okay, so this one also you need to include in your analysis, in your proposal. And then next, after you do this environment analysis, you will need to do the task analysis. Okay, so this is where you will be doing hierarchical task analysis, which is also known as HTA. So this is mainly to investigate an existing situation. So it focuses on important activities or tasks. So you will show here what are people trying to achieve, how are they going about it. Okay, so you also need to include HTA in your proposal. So you focus on physical and observable actions. So let's look at one example here, making a cup of tea. So when you when you want to make a cup of tea, uh, you you plan. Okay, this is your plan, and then you do one. Okay, you boil water, and the second you empty pot, and then you put tea leaves, and then number four you pour in boiling water. Five, wait for 5 minutes, and six, pour water. Okay, so every single action might have like another action under it. So if you want to boil water, you will need to fill kettle. You need to put the kettle on on hob, wait for the kettle to boil, and turn off gas after it's boiled. Okay, so similar to your system, all right? Similar to your system, you also need to do this task analysis, like you imagine the activity that what will be done by your persona. Okay, so you need to include what is your plan, like maybe borrowing books, for example, borrow books. So what you need to do, like present student ID, scan student ID, um, and so on. Okay, I'm not sure how what's your plan for your system. Okay, so see, this is an example. So at the same time, if the pot is full, right? So let's say the pot is already full, like you already have a boiled water in your pot. You will directly put tea leaves. Okay, you will directly start from 3 until 6. Okay, so this is a HTA. So let's look more on HTA. So this HTA, it involves breaking a task down into subtasks. Okay, so this one is the main task. So you will have subtasks under this boil water. So depending on how you want your system to work, you should have like more than one task and subtasks. Cannot necessarily all need to have subtasks, depending on how you want your task to be done. So this HTA, it focuses on physical and observable action, sorry, and includes looking at the action not related to the software or an interaction device. Okay, so it's only looking at action. Okay, task action, which is not related to the software. You're not talking about how the software works. Okay, so we will start with a user goal. Okay, user goal basically, like for this one, the goal is to make a cup of tea, right? So you will then examine the goal, and then you put in the main task and what are the things that you need to do to achieve your goal. Okay, so here are the steps for you to do it. So you identify the task to be analyzed. Okay, just identify one task. Pick one task in your scenario, and then break down the subtasks. Draw the subtasks as layer diagram. So you can do the layer diagram. And then you must show the levels, but of course you can also show your HTA in list form. Okay, so I can allow you to do this as well for your report. Okay, you can do in diagram form. Hold on, table bucket. Okay, can we continue? Siapa? Okay, so where were we? Here, here. Here. Okay, so you can use diagram or you can use this list form to present in your proposal. Okay, so you have the plan, the task, the subtasks, right? So you can also do some explanation on how you on how you read this HTA. Okay, so you can, I repeat, you can do this HTA in list form or in diagram form. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So next is, okay. So why do we need HTA? Okay. Why do we need HTA? So for us to understand the way user perform their current job is for us to know how they work with an existing system. Okay, it can be manual or it can be computerized system. So by understanding how what the user has been doing, the new system, it can be arranged in a way that it will be compatible with the user's accustomed behaviors, like for example, to make the new system compatible with what the user already does. Okay, so you need to understand like making the, like if you have the system like borrowing books at the library, so how does the current system works and how we want to improve from there. Okay, so the advantages of this HTA in HCI is that the skill that you learn from the old system, which is the current system, like the previous system, it can be transferred to the new system. Okay, so let's say the existing system is okay, like don't have problem at all. You just want to like update, like add any additional features there to make the user feel like more easier to do it, for example. So you can use the previous information that you get from this HTA for you to design your new system. So the user will have no need to alter his or her approach significantly when using the new system because they already have previous experience with the old system, okay, which should be similar to your new system. Okay, so this task analysis also can be used for producing documentation and training materials. So, for example, like you want to pass your prototype to like real development. So you have when you have this HTA, they will be able to know on how to use your system. Okay, so other than this HTA, what are other tools that is available? Okay, so we also have some other tools. The first one is empathy mapping, customer journey mapping, experience mapping, service blueprinting, and job to be done, and etc. So here is an example of empathy map. Okay? This is an example of buying a TV. Okay, so this person Jamie, what does she say? I was expecting something different. I want something reliable. What do you think? What best size is the best? What brand do you like? And so on. How does she feels? Maybe overwhelmed, can be excited, inadequate, fear, anxious, what she thinks, what she does, right? So this is an empathy maps referring to what this customer is thinking about. What does she share? What is she's doing? How does she feel? And then another example of customer journey mapping. Okay, you have the stages, steps, touch points, and departments. Okay, so these are just example on customer journey mapping. Okay, so you can find more eye-catching examples on Pinterest. Do you access Pinterest? Do you have this app in your mobile phone? So you can see more eye-catching examples on Pinterest on this topic. Okay, so try to find maybe persona also you can find there how they present their analysis and so on. Okay, so I would prefer you to like provide your report later on in a presentable way. Okay, so look through in Pinterest for other examples. Okay, so that's all for today. Do you have any question, especially for your assignment?
So the one the just now, do we need
Hmm?
to include
Which one?
the one
The
the
map?
empathy map,
Hmm?
empathy map?
Oh, tidak. No need.
Oh no, need no.
Yeah, that's an example. The one that you need to include is only the HTA. Okay. So basically, for your assignment, what you need to include, like from this lecture today, you need to look at the user analysis. Okay. You need to decide on persona and also the HTA. These three yang paling penting. Okay. So let me check again your assignment. So in your proposal, you should include introduction, pack analysis. So this one actually the pack analysis is the one that we discussed today. Target audience is under introduction. Okay, tomorrow we discuss more about your practical analysis. Try to like digest first what we have learned today. Yeah, correct. User analysis, persona, and HTA. That's the important point that we have discussed for today. So try to map all the information that you need to gather, that you need to include in your assignment, to your topic of your to your title, so that you know like if there is a need for you to change your title or anything, so you can do it now. Okay, so I don't want you to waste your time to decide later if you want to change your title. Okay, so try to look at your title if it's possible to do all the required things in today's lecture. Okay, so I still have like 30 minutes left. So I'll give you this, I'll let you use this time to look at your title, your assignment, and see if you can like give like draft anything out of it, the persona maybe, or you can do research on how you want to create your persona and see how you can create a HTA for your report. The scenario as well, don't forget the scenario. So user analysis, the persona, scenario. Yes, the scenario you need to include also. So I apologize once again for this session. It's not recorded because I don't have the recording functionality in this Google Meet at the moment. So I apologize that I will not be able to provide you with a recording for this session. Okay? Yeah, Noel. Okay. Mm, so I think that's all for today. Don't left the session yet. 4:20 baru kamu left. Okay, can you do that to fully utilize your attendance? Okay. So thank you so much everyone for your attention. So now I let you go and look see your assignment title, your persona, how you want to make it, and the rest of the things that we have discussed today. Right. So thank you so much once again, and I'll see you again this Friday for our other tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, practical session like practical time is up. So we will discuss in detail about your proposal tomorrow. So tomorrow you will be creating your proposal draft. Okay. Proposal you need to submit in week 5. Jangan lupa. So you can check in assignment instruction for the timing. I will remind you also lah. Okay, so during practical you will do your proposal. Okay. So thank you so much once again. Bye. So nanti kamu live ya 4:20.
For 20.
Yeah, 4:20 p.m.
Ah, okay,
put.
okay.
Oke,
Okay,
boleh.
Miss.
Alright.